Hello everyone, this is Skull Connor. I hope you are doing well. At the summary of this video we are going to do a quick overview of the operating principle of FX layers with a few concrete examples. Then, we will get to the heart of the matter to see how to make them and create your own applier. A second video for advanced users is also at your disposal to perfectly master all the aspects and all the subtleties, but before here are the basics to know. If you are still wondering what an FX looks like, here are some examples shown on the new Rox head for the Arwen head. A magical storm type effect over bomb eyes as well as animated golden tears. And here is another example taken on the Rogue head with a cyber-like animation in the eyes, as well as the original animated eyeliners. I quickly take this opportunity to show you just a few possible settings in the HUD, like animation speed, or for example how to apply an automatic color gradient in the eyes. Here, I will not review all the possible setting options because they were detailed in a previous video that I invite you to watch to refine your creations. We will not cover all the FX in this video either, but note that they are available for eyes, eyelids, cheeks and lips, and they all works the same way. Last reminder, the conceptual diagram for stacking the BOM HD and FX layers that we will be able to configure through the appliers to mix the effects. So concretely, how does it go to make an applier? You will have mainly configured a small command line which we will detail just after, but in terms of technical skills required, only Photoshop is enough, and if it is not already done, I invite you to recover the devkit by following the instructions on the site Rebirth, Discord, in World or on the Marketplace. The links are just under this video. In this devkit only 3 things interest us. You will have to install the Photoshop actions which are here. You will also need to refer to the technical documentation of the appliers in PDF format which are in the HDFX folder, here. And of course one of the devkit Photoshop, like for example the eyes one that I open immediately. Although we will come back to their use later in a second advanced video for FX, the first step is to install the actions. They will load here. And to do this the easiest way is to double-click on the ATN file. The devkit of the eyes looks like this, a red identifier homepage that I hide right away. The UV of the BOM HD and FX eyes, which is the same for the 3 with a small precision about the BOM eyes, which will have to be rotated by 90 degrees before export according to the SL standard that you already know. Finally we find different types of grids, containing each thumbnails of the eye UV that will be used to create the FX animations according to the principle that I'm gonna explain right now. To understand more easily, I'll start with the example of the texture that was used to create the animation of the Rogue head's cyber eyes. The principle is simple since it consists of a series of miniatures which read in a certain order and at a certain rate gives the illusion of a video, starting from the top left corner. To finish at the bottom right corner, just keep in mind that making an FX animation is just a matter of generating a texture of this type and configuring an applier with a command line that we will explain after exporting this texture for SL. To configure your applier, we'll take a look at the PDF documentation here. So, it is an exhaustive documentation which in fact lists all the appliers that it is possible to create on the Rox heads. But in the end what must be remembered is that only this universal command line that follow well-defined nomenclature, indicated here and which refers to this table, matters. This will be useful for creating an applier. So, at first, the parameter that interests us the most concerns the textures precisely referenced here in the command line, and detailed below in the section concerning the FX. As a reminder, textures are identified by UUID on SL. But I'm pointing out a few things here. On the one hand, we will always refer to the trio diffuse, specular, and normals. In this order, and even if you do not want to use them or are not allowed to use them because it depends on the category of applier that you want to create, I specify on the other hand that the FX layers here only manage the diffuse channel, not the materials, so not specular and normals. And finally, it must be filled in your command line the UUIDs used and put a lowercase x in the UUID's location that you do not want or are not allowed to configure, as is the case in the FX which do not handle materials. To sum up, for FXI's example with regard to the reference table at the top of the document, we can see here that all the parameters are used except the last one. And that here we come to define a diffuse texture for the eyes, without the materials. The second important parameter is the playback speed of the other animation, 70 in this example. The size of the grid 8 by 8 equals 64, and the number of cells that are actually used 48 here. All other parameters are ignored but will be detailed in a second part of this tutorial. Back to Second Life to finalize the applier and simulate a HUD using a SL Prime that I just resed and in which I just put the universal script of the applier called Rebirth Head Applier, available on the marketplace or in World. Then, we set the script's rights so that the next owner is copy or transfer mode but not both at the same time, 90% of the time. As a designer you will choose the copy option only. We click on the HUD. A menu appears and we will select FX, a second menu appears and we select FX Eyes. And in the chat, which appears here, a message tells us to type in channel number 1 the command line that we have previously prepared. Note that the channel may change if you configure a multi-applier item, but that is not the subject of this video. To write in channel 1, just type a slash, followed by 1, and a space, and finally we just paste our command line. So there, it didn't work because in fact I had 30 seconds to write the command line. So I reboot, I click on the HUD again. /1, space, the command line, I confirm with Enter key. So everything is going well since we hear a confirmation sound which also sends you a message to the applier to tell us that it is now working. To see the final result, it will be necessary that the user wears the head's HUD as well as the head itself, and when you click on the applier here, you will have a new visual and audio confirmation from the HUD which will send the information to the head, and we should see the cyber eyes appear directly above it in few seconds. So here again I don't go into the user setting options because they are explained in a second part of the tutorial with much more details, tips and tricks and everything you need to know to easily make your applier. That's the end of this video. Thank you for watching this quick introduction video and I invite you to watch the second part of this video. See you soon guys.